All right, we are live. My name is Winnie, and I am a mental health therapist and a life coach for anyone who is new to the Thrive Unburdened videos. Today, we're going to be talking about mental health within the military spouse community. And to talk about that, joining me is Christina Robb. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a huge honor.
No problem. Christina is a licensed mental health counselor based in Florida. She also is licensed in the state of Alaska, and she is actually accepting new clients right now. So, for anyone looking for a therapist, you can find Christina on Facebook at Wild Thistle Therapy. So, be sure to check her out if you're in need of someone right away. So like I said, we're going to be talking about military spouses and their mental health. I am a military spouse, and so is Christina. So we're just gonna have a conversation, talk about the different challenges that we've had with that, and how we cope with deployment, and being a military spouse, being career military spouses, and all of that. So it's a pretty broad topic. So yeah, we're just gonna talk. So Christina, I'm gonna open it up to you. Where would you like to start?
Awesome. That's a good question. I think you mentioned a big one was, the fact that we're both therapists
Hmm.
and military spouses, which for me, it was a big motivation for me to become a therapist after my husband joined the military. I was already on that track, and I saw a lot of spouses when he first joined that seemed to give up
Hmm.
a career that really wanted one because of their husband's or wife's service. And I did not want to fall into that category. I didn't want to let the military stop me from pursuing my own dreams.
Hmm. Hmm.
But that being said, I think that there were challenges
Right.
in doing so that I may
Hmm.
not have faced as a civilian spouse.
Hmm. Yeah, and I can totally relate to that. Last week we were talking about marriage, and I kind of mentioned that in that segment last week. But for me, it was important that I found like my own thing and have my own career and something that I was doing, because with the military, as you know, we have to move every so often. So every few years we have to move it, everything like that. And sometimes, it can kind of feel like we're not just married to our spouses, but we're also married to the military. So wherever they send us, we have to go there. So for me, it was like, well, I also need my own thing for me to do that. At the same time, though, kind of like you mentioned, it comes with its own set of challenges, being married to a service member, having your own career, um, and then on top of that, being a parent and having to go through all these different challenges, and moving and starting a family or raising a family. How do you do it, if you don't mind me asking, because you have three kiddos that are pretty young, and you're a career military wife. So how do you juggle all of that?
I ask myself that question sometimes. I owe a lot to the support system that I have, yourself included. I know you have been there,
Thank you.
um, most recently through this incident of having to get my Florida license, which is very
Mhm.
different from the Alaska licensure process.
Right.
So that's a challenge with the military moves. Um, so the support system is huge. I don't think I would have been able to be where I am today without
Mhm.
those people that were there for me.
Mhm. I totally agree with that. The support is so important. And for military spouses watching this video, they're gonna know that on the military bases, there's a lot of different support groups that they can access. For instance, the family readiness programs, and they also have a lot of different Facebook groups and everything like that. I know that a lot of the spouses get together sometimes, just to have someone to hang out with, who understands what you're going through. Yeah, it's so important having that support system. I actually remember when we first moved to Alaska a few years ago. I was pregnant at that time with our first child, and being away from family, going through a pregnancy, in a new place, and doing what I was doing with school and my internship. I mean, it was a lot, but I'm so glad that we were able to find people here that we could rely on and who could
Mhm.
be our support system to help us through that. So yeah, I agree with you. The support system is so huge. How do you do it with deployments and TDYs and things like that when your husband has to go on trainings for extended periods of time?
That's a good question. We've been really fortunate here in Florida that he hasn't had any TDYs, knock on wood, I don't wanna jinx that. Um, but yes, in Alaska, we did, and then that was, its own challenge. Um, I'm trying to think back and what that looked like. It
Mhm.
was very stressful. Again, I did rely on the friends that I had there.
Mhm.
I had no family in Alaska when we moved up there. I didn't really know anybody, so it was the people that I met, and actually, um, the people that I met at my job in Alaska
Mhm.
also happened to be, one was a military spouse and the other one was a state trooper spouse, so they both kind of understood those unique challenges that we have
Mhm.
to face, and, they both stepped up when I was there to help me out. Otherwise,
Mhm.
again, I might have lost it.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's been really helpful for me too, being able to work somewhere where people understand some of the challenges that come from being attached to the military, and being a military spouse and everything like that. This last year, as you know, my husband was deployed for about 10 months, and I really felt like if I didn't have the support system that I did, that I wouldn't have been able to come out of it the way that I did. And I mean,
Mhm,
like, all of my family members in Florida and my friends, like they were checking in with me pretty much like on a daily basis, just being like, "Hey, how are you? How are things going?" And people at work and our supervisors, they were really flexible in terms of, me setting up my own work hours, and like if I needed a break or some time off, they were very flexible with that. So yeah, that the support system is such an important piece. Like, it is so huge. It's so huge. Um I remember reading on your blog. Oh, by the way, guys,
mhm.
Christina has a blog as well, and she has a lot of great resources on there. So I'll put the links to her website and her blog at the bottom of this video for you guys to check out. But I remember reading on your blog some of the ideas that you had as far as coping skills go, that military spouses could use when they're going through deployments and things like that. Would you mind sharing some of them again?
Sure, I don't remember all of them. I know that support system that we talked about was for sure on there.
Mhm.
I think, staying active, staying busy, and changing your mindset during that time is
Mhm.
very important. I can tell a shift in my own mindset and my own growth from my husband's first TDYs to
Mhm.
the most recent, and that makes a huge difference.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's really true. Like, when I think about it, like when you mentioned the changing your mindset, um, I am thinking back to when my husband was deployed, and some of that mindset change, was, hey, this is not going to be forever. He's coming back, and it got a little bit more challenging and more difficult when this COVID situation happened, because when he was supposed to come back, like that return date got delayed because of COVID. And there was a period of uncertainty, like when are they going to be able to travel again and all that kind of stuff, so being
Mhm.
able to change the mindset of, well, this is temporary, this is not going to go on forever, and again going back to the support systems that you referred to, having people to talk to, I think, was very helpful for me, at least. So yeah, I agree with
Right.
that for sure. Hmm.
I think it's very difficult sometimes when we're in that situation, but trying to find the positives
Hmm.
during that time. So I'll give you an example, and my husband might kill me if he watches this, but when he is
Hopefully
gone,
he
our
doesn't.
our house is a lot cleaner, and I love that. There's less chores and responsibilities for
Mhm.
myself. I have more of my own time,
Mhm.
and we have that time to pursue things that maybe when our spouse is there, we wouldn't necessarily do.
Mhm. 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 Yeah, and it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because this past year, um I kind of found myself um finding things to keep me busy. Like I was it's like I was looking for things just to keep my mind occupied and to stay busy and not think about the fact that, he's not gonna be back for another like 8 months, and oh my gosh, like it's only been um 3 months and he's
Mhm.
still away and stuff like that. So staying busy really helped me, because I was able to be like, okay, this is what my day's gonna look like. This is what I'm gonna do. And so I'm gonna have things to do instead of just kind of sitting around not doing anything, and thinking about if he was safe or not, and whatnot. So that was very interesting to me. And I think your husband wants you to know that you miss his cooking when he's gone. So he's
That is
definitely
true.
watching.
I think
Yeah.
you're right, though. What you're focusing on, it makes a
Mhm.
big difference,
Mhm.
and it's a good reminder too to not to stop ourselves during those times from having new experiences.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of times I see spouses get stuck into that, I don't want to go out and do anything because he's not here.
Mhm.
It's really important that we not fall into that trap for our own sanity and also for theirs.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're out there also experiencing things good and bad, and
Right.
we need to take that opportunity also to help us get through it. Helps time go by faster when you're not
Mhm.
focusing on the end date, which, as you know, and as you said, can change very
Mhm.
rapidly.
Right. Right. And I I also think, in addition to that, something to keep in mind is that um us as the spouses, the people on the home front, I think that our service members are really counting on us to kind of, like keep things together. And it's almost kind of like this pressure, I guess, for me, that, like my mental health has to be um on par, and like I have to take care of myself, because then if my husband needs me, then I'm not going to be able to be there for him if my own mental health is not taken care of. So um it's not necessarily like pressure in the sense of, like somebody's making you do something, but it's just something that I keep on the forefront of my mind, I guess. I'm aware that I I have to be okay, and if I'm not okay, then I need to find um my support system and reach out to people, to talk about what's going on with me, so that way I can be there for him as well. Because I really do think that our service members are better and they do better when the family is doing well.
Mhm. You brought up a really good point there too, because going along with that, and even outside of deployments, there's this unspoken rule sometimes that military spouses are strong and they're not very vocal about the struggles that they're facing
Hmm.
because they have to be strong for the
Right.
service member. And compassion fatigue too is a very real thing,
Yes. Hmm.
and that can be very difficult, and that can lead to strain and even over time resentment in the relationship if
Right.
we don't find that outlet, whether it's support or, having a therapist
Hmm.
or whatever that looks like to help that person work through it.
Hmm. I agree 100%. And speaking of that, you told me a while back that you did some research and you wrote a paper regarding some of the traumatic experiences that I guess spouses go through as well. And I really want to hear more about that.
Yeah, so, until recently, there wasn't too much research on this. They're starting to do more, but, the research has found that there is um, there's high rates of secondary PTSD with military spouses and military families. This can even go to the children. So
Hmm.
what that means is, um, and it doesn't always have to be combat related, but just using that as an example, if a service member was overseas in a combat zone and they come home with some PTSD symptoms,
Hmm.
more times than not, because of the stigma with mental health in the military, which is another huge issue,
Hmm.
they don't always seek help, right away, and so then this can transfer to the spouses and to the children who
Hmm.
are there, and then
Hmm.
they may not even realize what's happening or how that's affecting them, but they found that there's higher rates of depression, anxiety, there's also, as you know, suicide rates are at an all-time high,
Right.
and there's a link between those high suicide rates in the military and high rates of domestic violence in
Hmm.
military families.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, that's actually very interesting. I mean, I know that as military spouses, we do go through a lot, but just kind of hearing, how it trickles down and really um, affects the spouses and the family unit as a whole, I think is definitely something people need to be aware of. And to echo what you said about seeking help if you need it. I think it's really, really important that um, the military spouses find support, like find help. Like it's okay if things are not going well. If you're feeling depressed and you're feeling anxious and everything like that, and you feel like your mental health is not where it needs to be, it's totally okay to say that you need help, because at the end of the day, I really feel like mental health is so important. Like I feel like there should be a greater emphasis on mental health. Like it should be the priority. Because I feel
Yeah.
like, if you're not well, and if your mental health is not to a point where like you're functioning really well, like then it affects your entire life, your
Mhm,
physical health and everything like that. So seek help if you need it, is
mhm.
what I want to echo based on what you said.
I actually did some research into this for the spouse side of this, and I wrote down the figures. They did a survey in 2017,
Mhm.
and they found that 92% of military spouses experienced an increase in stress levels.
Mhm.
88% of them reported feelings of loneliness, and 85% of them reported depression and anxiety symptoms. And these are
Wow.
huge numbers.
Mhm.
I think also that, and maybe some spouses don't know this, but the spouses have it a little bit easier on our side in regards to seeking and receiving treatment.
Right.
So we
Mhm.
have on base options, but we also have the off base through TRICARE. Whether you have standard or prime, you can reach out to somebody in network or a TRICARE certified provider off base
Mhm.
for you or for your kids or both.
Mhm.
And that's usually covered, or there's a small copay. It probably varies by location, but it's not an exorbitant amount of money. It's affordable.
Mhm. Do you know if they would need to get a referral or prior auth from their primary care managers before seeking therapy?
So as far as I know, spouses and their children don't,
Okay.
and they can verify that through the provider that they find off base.
Mhm.
It's different, of course, for the service member,
Okay.
and that's where a lot of the issues come into play.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really sad, I think, that the military hasn't gotten to the point yet where they recognize that mental
Mhm.
health needs to be a priority. This stigma surrounding seeking mental health care really needs to go away because these soldiers sacrifice so much. They go through so much, and I really feel like putting on like this added thing, like this stigma of, oh, if you go to behavioral health, like, oh my gosh, like something must be wrong. Like this stigma really needs to stop. Like it really needs to end.
I think it goes deeper than that too, that a lot of people have a fear, and sometimes this is valid, that it would affect their military career. And that stops them from going on base. The
Absolutely.
confidentiality, as you know, on base is different
Mhm.
anywhere else that you would receive treatment.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that stops a
Totally
lot of
agree.
people from getting help and being the best service members that they can be.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that for sure. I kind of want to pivot just a little bit. I want to ask you, with this COVID situation and going back to school and you being a career military mom, how are you dealing with all of that and all these changes with school starting?
Good question. I am excited for school to start. My
Hmm.
kids are really fortunate, to go back in person, and they have a very small class size. It's about 10
Hmm.
per class. So we're very, very fortunate in that respect. I
Hmm.
also feel like it was a blessing that I did telehealth for 3 years
Hmm.
before COVID hit.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I would have been scrambling. Like, I know a lot of therapists were to figure it out, and how does this work, and can we still have that connection?
Hmm.
So when COVID hit, I was in a really good place just to
Hmm.
continue doing what I was doing.
Hmm. Mhm. Yeah, and this is kind of like the mindset thing that you were talking about too, being able to find the positives and kind of recognize them, and being like, hey, this is a really bad situation. Like it sucks. At the same time, I can find the positives in there and I can hang on um, to that. So that's really cool. And I'm glad to hear that your kiddos will be able to go back to school in person safely. That's awesome to hear that.
Yeah. Good for my own mental health.
I'm sure.
They've been
I'm
home for
sure.
6 months.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it with three little ones and doing everything that you do. I mean, you really sound like you're super mom.
Thank you. Well, let's say yesterday I had, like, a Reiki massage, and I think that that helped,
Nice.
just remembering as a mom to prioritize our own self-care. We
Mhm.
usually come last. That's the name of the game,
Mhm.
especially when they're so young.
Mhm.
But it's so important because, there's that quote that I love that says, "You can't pour from an empty cup."
Yeah.
And that's very true. So sometimes we have to remind ourselves it's not selfish, it's self-care.
Mhm.
To put ourselves first, take some time for ourselves, that could be a hot bath or getting our nails done or
Mhm.
meditating for 15 minutes. Whatever
Right.
it is, people are all different, but just taking that time for ourselves and then we can come back and that helps us navigate all the stress of motherhood.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Do you have anything else that you feel like would be very important for us to share to with other military spouses and military moms who might be watching?
Man, yeah, I would say when you move to a new place, when you PCS, um, to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, to connect with other military spouses
Mhm.
in the area because most, if not all of them, know how you're feeling. They understand. They want to be there. A lot of them are away from their own families and their friends, and they're feeling the same way that you
Mhm.
are. And if you allow that connection to happen, a lot of times those military spouse friends become like your family when
Mhm.
you're apart.
Mhm. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. And there are actually some amazing groups on Facebook for military spouses. I recently came back on social media and I found some of those groups, and I mean, they're amazing. Like, it's just a wealth of information, a wealth of resources, things to do locally and stuff like that. So, those are definitely important resources and supports for people.
Yeah, you brought up another thing too, and this comes back to my motivation for becoming a therapist. As you know too, don't let the military or your husband's or wife's career stop you from pursuing your own dreams. It
Mhm.
might be a bigger challenge for sure, but
Mhm.
it can be done. Whatever you want to do, it can be done, even as they're serving in the military. If there's a will, there's a way. And
Mhm.
as military spouses, we have access to so many resources. Like you were saying, the MyCAA is a big one.
Mhm.
There's tuition discounts and reimbursement programs and tons of stuff. There's grants out there for small business loans and things like that are really amazing. It's a lot to look through.
Mhm. Yeah, and there's the one that I was telling you about not too long ago. I believe it's the National Military Family Association,
Mhm,
something like that. But they also have a lot of great resources, scholarships, grants, things like that that people can utilize. Like you were saying, for finishing school and starting businesses and whatnot. So it, it's great, I think, that the military has recognized that the spouses and the families have also made sacrifices in marrying a service member, and they're making it, I guess, kind of easier for us to pay for school, have a career of our own and whatnot. So yeah, that's a really good point that you made.
mhm.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I think that's all I've got.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. This was such a great conversation. So, again, guys, Christina Robb is the owner of Wild Thistle Therapy. She has a Facebook page. She also has a website with the same name, wildthistletherapy.com. And you can also find her on Psychology Today, like if you want to verify her license and everything like that. But she's currently taking clients who reside in Florida and Alaska. So if you guys are looking for a provider right now, she's amazing. I've worked with her for what, 2 years now. So
Crazy.
I can definitely vouch for her. She's good. So Again, like I said, if you're looking for someone right away, please feel free to reach out to her. And I will include her website and her Facebook page as well as her blog website underneath this video. So check her out. Thanks, Christina.
Thanks for having me, Winnie. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
no problem. Bye.
Bye.